You only get 520 weeks in your 20s. By the time you're 30, the compounding effect of your daily habits will have already decided your trajectory for the next 40 years. If you feel like you're drifting, it's time to stop. Here is a realistic roadmap to reinventing your life before the clock runs out. You're not lazy. Nobody has actually told you on how to live your 20s, what habits you should build to set yourself up for the next decades. So let's get into it. Hey you guys, I'm Sage and I'm a junior doctor working in Germany. A couple of months ago, I was a struggling student. Now I just want to help other students find ways to study smarter and navigate their 20s. The first one is to practice who you want to become. However you behave like that is going to cement into your brain. Neuroplasticity is on your side in your 20s and actually across your life, but especially in these crucial years, it is really important to build habits and build skills that you want to last a lifetime. Your brain doesn't actually care about your intention, but actually cares about what you have done, and so always behave in a way that you know you want to become that person inevitably. So your brain doesn't care if you want to work out, it just cares if you have worked out. And therefore write down all the habits of the person that you actually want to become like in a year from now, and try to practice at least one habit every single day so that you become closer and closer to that person. I personally always compare it to a forest, because in a huge big forest there are no pathways, but if you walk down a certain way every single day, it creates a pathway, and the more that you have done it, the easier that pathway becomes to walk across. But it is also really hard to walk towards any other way, because you know you would have to do all the work again. It's actually time to redefine what self-care looks like for all of us individually. The main reason for this is that on social media it is portrayed as something really beautiful, to your skincare, to your makeup, or to just take a day off to do all of these manicure and pedicures. And while all of that is super important, sometimes I feel like we are just doing it for the hype of it, just for the look of it, and it isn't really about self-care. It becomes more so stressful, because the maintenance, especially for people who are doing a 9 to 5 or going to school or university, is actually a lot of hard work. So redefine what it all means. And sometimes people also buy massive amounts of stuff just to do their skincare, and you have to ask yourself, is this overconsumption or is it actually self-care for you? Self-care can actually look very different from person to person. For somebody it is actually relaxing at home, for other people it is going out with your friends. So never feel pressure to behave a certain way because others are, because there are always people out there who behave just like you. The next one is to learn to organize the life around you and in your head. So these are like two different tasks that you need to get done, and it's also a skill that you build. One of them is to actually organize the space around you, because in a cluttered space you will also have a cluttered mind, and always throw out the things that you don't need anymore. I know it's really hard to get rid of things, especially I find that to be very difficult, but it is going to actually just keep on piling up, because we usually live in a space for a longer amount of time, and the longer we live at a place, we actually are also putting more and more stuff into it. And so if we're not like taking one thing out and putting one thing in, we will always pile up stuff. And the next part is to actually declutter your brain. I personally love the Eisenhower matrix. It's really important to organize the tasks by urgency and importance, just because there will always be a million things to do, no matter who you are and where you are at which state of your life, because I feel like there are always tasks and always things to clean or get done. So organize them. And I also think you're doing a disservice to yourself if you're just keeping it all in your mind instead of putting pen to paper, because all these thoughts swirling in your brain are taking away your brain energy that you could actually free up for another task. People's expectations will keep rising, and the reason why I'm saying this is I took part in an AI webinar and I found the concept to be very interesting, that through AI we would not have more time, but actually our expectations are going to rise. And if you look at the past, there's so much historical evidence for this. For example, the household didn't have like all these machineries, they didn't have a washing machine and a dryer and all of that, and so that took up so much space and time. But what actually happened over time is, through all these machineries, our standards of cleanliness and being hygienic have actually risen, and therefore it's actually not taking us less time, but just around the same amount of time to get the house spot clean, because the expectation just kept on rising. And through AI it will also happen. Another really great example is social media, because through social media I feel like everybody's doing like multiple jobs. People are going out with their friends and they still have time to read books, and they still have time to make videos. And I think it's so crazy how it makes it seem like we all have like unlimited space and time, which we obviously do not. And so I think it is sometimes time to just shut off social media and ask yourself what is actually important to you, and do you actually have to rise up to other people's expectations, especially if it doesn't make you happy. The next is to actually care less about other people's approval. And the question that you should always ask yourself is, if I did all of that the other person wanted me to do, would that make me happy? Would that make that person happy? And how exactly would my life look like? And I think sometimes putting pen to paper in this case is so helpful, because you can write down all of those expectations and you can ask yourself all these questions. And honestly, the majority of people will just come to the conclusion that you cannot make other people happy, and so you just have to learn to give up on these expectations that are so external and don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, because there will always be somebody who just has different expectations of you. And honestly, if person A is happy, person B will be unhappy, so just make yourself happy. The next one is to see yourself as a human being. I feel like so often, especially us as women, we just kind of ignore our own feelings and emotions, and I think it is really important to see ourselves also as a human being and ask yourself, like, would you do that to a human being? Would you ever be so hard on other people as you are on yourself? And I think that once you see yourself as a human being, you will also feel way more empathy towards you, which is only fair, because otherwise you're creating a double standard for other people and for yourself, and it is just unfair towards yourself. Make a career plan for yourself, but be flexible. A lot can happen in 6 months, and we usually don't expect the majority of things. I think it's really important to have an open mind and realize that maybe you'll find a new job, a new house, a new place, a new friend in a different city, and you never know what can come towards you. A lot of the time we see surprises as negative things, but actually they can also be something really positive. It's actually time to build habits that last you a lifetime, because now it's the best time, and it is going to be way easier than later on in life, where you already have habits built up that you need to now retract and then build new better habits. It's also a time for a lot of change, and you also have a lot of time, even though you might not think so, because as we age we always have more responsibilities, whether it's financial or emotional or like family ties, and therefore I think this is like the best time to already start building habits like working out or journaling or just going on lots and lots of walks. Make your thoughts more logical and ask yourself, is this thought process actually helping you and bringing you closer to the solution, or is it actually part of the problem or even causing the problem? Because a lot of the times past thoughts, processes, or just habits that we've built are actually there to support us in that moment of hardship, and then as time passes by we actually need to adapt and change, which goes into the next point, that change is inevitable. It is like the only constant in your life, and therefore I think it's a really great thing to just be flexible and always reinvent yourself in every area of your life. Follow your values and make sure that your habits and actions align with your values. It's really important to do so, because otherwise you will feel guilty because your actions and your values are completely separate, and inevitably it will create like a lot of mental problems for you. I think it's especially important to always have a North Star for your character and be like, that's the person I want to become, and always make sure that you are consistently going towards that. And on top of that, don't ever change your permanent character for temporary people in this world, because these people will pass, but your character is actually going to be permanent and it will cement in your life. And even if these people go away, all these negative emotions, feelings, your behaviors will always remain by your side. So always protect yourself by following your values. The next is to go to new neighborhoods, and I think it's really helpful for your brain to actually see landscapes or just like new houses, new places, even if it's just a walk to the next town or next city. I think it's really fun to even just walk around your own town or city. I love doing that. I just love to go around to new neighborhoods and just look at the places and look at the houses and just ask myself, like, would I want this? Do I like this? Etc. It's just like a fun little game that I like play once in a while, and walking is like one of the best things that you can ever do for your body, so always do that as much as you can. And that's it for the video. Until next time, bye.